Hey everybody, I thought I would do a update on what specifically happened to my Model S. And first, no, I'm not at home, and no, I'm not sitting in my Model S. But good news is, it is done. My Model S is done running, and running just like it always has before. Running great. Now, let's first go over what exactly happened. Well, me and Vinny were creeping through a parking lot about 2 miles an hour, and now, after the fact, I'm calmed down now. I can put thoughts together, and I'm not really pissed off. I was at the time, and I'm sure most of you would be too. And before I progress, I will say, just for all the haters out there, that even though the vehicles are not perfect, even though they do have their problems, hiccups, and other issues, I would still not drive a different kind of vehicle. They are just that good that most people will put up with the occasional problem. I will also state that, and now my Model S is at 81,000 miles, and my first Model S was traded in at 80,000 miles. And for those of you that have not followed me since the beginning, the quality difference is about 1,000% increase in quality. No, that is not an exaggeration. About 1,000% increase in quality over a May 2013 vehicle compared to production was January 2016 for my current Model S. That's how big of a difference there was. So, back to what happened. Well, me and Vin were creeping through a parking lot about 2 miles an hour, and the center screen basically just kind of freaked out. Actually, everything kind of freaked out. I got every error warning, but it was silent. There wasn't no alarm. Everything just went silent, and flashing all the error messages everywhere. Thankfully, we were in a parking lot already because the car lost drive power, went into basically neutral. And we just kind of coasted to a stop. There's no parking brake. I shoved a shoe underneath one of the wheels to stop me from rolling back. And there we waited. First frustration really started building was waiting for first Tesla call center to answer their phone. It took almost an hour on hold before I actually got to talk to somebody. Frustration then continued when troubleshooting, no sooner do I tell them my scroll wheel restart does not do anything. All the controls other than window controls are dead. And I cannot restart or shut down, power off the car via the touch screen. No sooner do I finish saying that, they said, well, let's try holding down the scroll wheel. See if we can restart the computer. I'm not going to go into more detail on that because it was basically around in a circle, and we spent way too long doing things that did not work. I then requested to be put through to a service center where I could actually talk to a tech. They did that. I got to speak with somebody, and the results were that there's really nothing they would want me to do without knowing what the problem was, and not wanting to make things possibly worse. If I hadn't taken my toolbox out earlier in the day, I probably would have went and disconnected the 12-volt battery to force everything to shut down and power back on. This was basically the equivalent of your computer locking up to the point where you just give up and have to pull out the power plug on the thing, or flip the switch on the power strip. That's the point that the car locked up at. Frustration then got worse because nobody wanted to tow my car. This time, now way in the past, the first time my first Model S had to get towed, a long time ago, nobody wanted to tow it because that was right after that first Tesla fire where a guy rolled over a U-shaped piece of metal which punctured the battery pack. Mind you, take about 20 tons of force to puncture the 1/4-inch armor plating on the bottom of that battery pack, thus causing then the fire. So it was right after that. So all the tow truck drivers were really scared. And I finally had gotten somebody, this way back when, I think it was beginning of 2014 to tow me after I signed a laundry list of waivers saying, if you damage my vehicle or if anything happens, I'll take responsibility. I only needed a 2-mile tow at the time. But fast forward now, I could not get somebody that would tow my vehicle to Illinois. Nobody wanted to go on a, what was it, Wednesday, was it Tuesday or Wednesday? I can't remember now, Tuesday or Wednesday evening, all the way to Illinois to tow it. So by the time we finally found a tow company that would tow it, they actually drove in from Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, which took about an hour for them to get from Fond du Lac to Milwaukee. Then they got in my car, and that was another about hour and a half with traffic for the tow truck driver to then get to Illinois, Highland Park, Illinois, to drop my car off. And then that tow truck driver then had another 2 to 3 hour drive to get all the way back to Fond du Lac. A major pro to the tow truck driver, and you can, if you're in Milwaukee area or Fond du Lac, you can see the information. I'll put the information for the tow truck driver in the description box below, just to give them, a major thumbs up. The tow truck driver was excellent. Okay, so once that was all said and done, my sister had picked me and Vinny up to take us home, but it was about a total of 4 hours waiting for a tow truck. That was after the hour that I waited to actually talk to somebody in terms of at the Tesla call center. So right then, I was pretty pissed off. That's where we got part 1 video. I was not in a good mood. Here's where things turn around. Now, what happened specifically with the car in terms of what was repaired? Nothing was actually repaired. The way it was explained to me is the service technicians got into Highland Park the next morning, and actually it was taken in on Wednesday, so that was Thursday morning. Once they were finally able to get into the vehicle, once again, all controls, everything were dead. How they got in, I don't know. However they did it, no damage was done to the car. They were able to basically force restart the car's computer systems in whatever manner they do. The way my takeaway was they basically pulled the 12-volt battery and reconnected it up. They then spent 4 or 5 days with random amounts of time trying to recreate the error and figure out exactly what happened. And apparently the logs had nothing recorded on them as to no events. Nothing that happened was in the logs. They have basically no idea what happened, but the takeaway, like I mentioned earlier, was the car basically locked up and crashed to the point where software crashed to the point where the power plug just needed to be pulled and plugged back in so everything could just reboot nice and fresh. So then I picked the car back up on Wednesday of this past week, so I was there for about a week, and my sister was kind enough to drive me to Highland Park for gas money, so I basically filled up her gas tank. Toyota Corollas are actually getting pretty nice, a lot better than her old 06, I think it was, and I was fairly impressed. But anyways, I'm driving electric, and she likes her gas. All right, fine. Got the car. Now I was not charged a fee for the repair. I don't know if I even should have mentioned that or not, because I don't want anybody getting in trouble if they might have. But my takeaway on that was because they couldn't find the actual root cause of the problem, they did not charge me the diagnostic fee. They went through, they tested and checked all the components. I had quite a number of viewers contact me, messaging me, telling me that they had a similar issue, and it ended up either being the DC to DC converter, tire pressure monitoring module, not on the wheels, but an actual module, and also possible inverter failure in a motor. That's what my viewers had told me, had similar or exactly the same outcome, but Highland Park gave everything on my vehicle, a clear bill of health. And they said this is possibly just a fluke. And we got to remember, it is a computer on wheels, and shit does happen. Drove the car home. Now, I always treat the service center and the service tech's nice, so I did bring 7 big boxes of donuts and a nice box of tasty, delicious cookies. And I recommend anybody out there that is getting their vehicle serviced by Tesla, do the same. They love that, and it gives them motivation to keep working and doing a great job. Mosquitoes are coming out. I'm on the golf cart that I rebuilt last week, over the last couple of weeks. Electric, of course, if you couldn't tell by the lack of noise or lack of no noise. But yeah, bring some donuts. They love that. A couple dozens. Good. Nice little treat. Sometimes I do pizza. So I drove it home. I've put over 1,000 miles on the car since, and so far there has been no relapse, no problems. In fact, I don't know, maybe a good forced hard reboot was exactly what my car needed, because I swear that center screen has never been this responsive before. Actually seems to be a lot more responsive than my Model X. So I gotta say, the outcome, I'm pretty happy with the outcome. And there's just really not much more to add. The actual interaction with, I'm going to keep going because there's these little mosquitoes right now, but the actual interaction with Highland Park Tesla service has been 100% spectacular on the levels that I remember them. Now, there's been a lot of reports of Tesla service going, downhill a bit, and I was very pleasantly surprised because my car has not had to go in. I have not had the need for Tesla service for quite a while. The last time was last August, just for a suspension noise check, which ended up being brake pads needing lubrication. And sure enough, problem went away. I've never had to lubricate brake pads before, but this is back to a level where I remember it. But at the same time, I will also state that I can see why service could be going downhill for a lot of people, a lot of areas. And I'll tell you, that service center is working their butts off. There were so many people there, and that service center was so understaffed. It's, as all service centers are for Tesla, it's just they can't handle the load of vehicles right now. You got deliveries, you got used sales, new sales, repairs, everything. And the influx of Model 3s has just dwarfed the amount of service availability. That they need more employees, and they need more locations. And I'll tell you, Wisconsin desperately needs a service center. We finally grown big enough. I mean, Illinois has got Westmont, Highland Park, and Chicago. I think Villa Park is closed. That's just a staging area now. That used to be one, but they got 3 in a 20-mile distance from each other, and Wisconsin's got nothing. And we've grown. I mean, I had Tesla number 6 in the whole state back in 2013, and now we're up to thousands now. We really need a service center, and I think that will alleviate a lot of problems with Wisconsinites having to travel to either Minnesota or Illinois to get service that rangers or the mobile service technicians can't do. So that's pretty much my conclusion for right now. It was a pretty good outcome. It was a crappy experience, and even if I would have been able to get the car to restart and go back into its an operational mode, I still would have had Tesla service it regardless. I would have had either a mobile technician come out to check everything, or I would have had taken it to Highland Park. So that's it. That's my experience. Talk to you later.